Cuba's National Assembly re-elect Miguel Diaz-Canel as President of the Republic for the next 5 years and Salvador Valdes as Vice President. On a Wednesday, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov arrived in Nicaragua as part of his official tour through Latin American and Caribbean countries. Sudan's warring factions announced that will abide by a 24-hour ceasefire starting this evening after a previous attempt at a truce failed a day earlier. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. In Cuba, members of the parliament re-elect Miguel Diaz-Canel as President of the Republic for the next 5 years and Salvador Valdes as Vice President. The President of the National Electoral Council, Eliana Balciero, points out that the 462 parliamentarians present at the consecutive section of the 10th Legislature of the National Assembly of People's Power exercise the right to vote. Following his re-election as President of Cuba, Miguel Diaz-Canel proposed today to ratify Manuel Marrero as Premier of the Republic. His proposal was approved by a majority of votes, taking into account that Marrero's previous administration took place in a complex context marked by the COVID-19 pandemic, the intensification of the blockade, and the confrontations of difficult national situations. Diaz-Canel also proposed to ratify as Vice Prime Ministers Ramiro Valdés, Inés María Chapman, Jorge Luis Perdomo, Ricardo Cabrizas, as well as Alejandro Gil, who was ratified as Minister of Economy and Planning. In the consecutive session of the ex-legislature of the National Assembly of People's Power, at the proposal of the President, the members of the Council of Ministers were renewed, with 6 new proposals which approves stability to face the country's complex economic situation. Naima Artenia Trujillo will serve as Minister of Education, Walter Baluja as Minister of Higher Education, Vladimir Regueiro as Minister of Finance, and Prices Major General Raúl Acosta as President of the National Institute of Territorial Planning and Urbanism, and Alfonso Noya as President of the Institute of Information and Social Communication, formerly the Cuban Institute of Radio and Television. The Cuban president acknowledged the work of those who previously performed these functions in a complex national and international situation. The re-elected President of the Republic of Cuba, Miguel Diaz-Canel Bermudez, referred to the great social justice that comprises the Cuban project and emphasized that in it, the development and prosperity of the Cuban people are a priority on contracts to other models.
The revolution is the mean to conquer everyone, the greatest rate of justice and happiness. That is not possible to achieve in another system where the well-being is associated with the violence, where some people have few or nothing, because others have the biggest part of the wealth created by the people that have less. The project that we have proposed to date is different from other models, where there will be more levels equality, whether individual and collective, that it have and that it includes the prosperity.
The Cuban president also assured the commitment of the 470 people who make up the National Assembly to defend the interests of the Cuban people, and he also talked about how Cuba defends its only party.
The 470 people that we designated as deputies, we do not want the curricula by having the favor of the party. Our only support is to fulfill the laws of the government, and is a defensor of the interests of the people. Each one of us is sitting here today to defend the interests of the most. And we are not going to earn more money or be deputies, as it happens in as many countries that they pursue of multi-party democratic models. Cuba defends its model, the unity that we have today since Jose Marti founded the party, because isn't it an history?
In his speech, the Cuban president also referred to the key role the young people in Cuba played in the future of the country and in the defense of the revolution.
The young people are the best revolutionaries because they recognize the difficulties of the areas and they face it and they try to change it and they achieve it a lot of times because despite of the adversity they keep smiling, they keep believing the possibility of a better country in spite of that some people is prevented from doing that.
And during his speech, Premier Manuel Marrero Cruz referred to the challenges faced by the government throughout these years of mandate and expressed his unconformity with the work done.
There are a lot of challenges that we have faced in the last few years, especially the strengthening of the blockade and the imperialism to try to affect us in order and all these situations that happened with the blockade. To these scenarios, we add the impact of the economic crisis, of the pandemic, and other conflicts. I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart the support, and I am concerned that these obstacles that will limit us in some way, I would like to express my conformity as a chief of government, because I did not achieve the results wanted by the people.
Additionally, Premier Marrero thanked the people of his hometown, Guevara, in the eastern province of Holguín for having enabled him to reach his current position. Also, Marrero referred to the challenges to come.
As the First Minister, I would thank to the people of Guevara in the province of Holguín for his support and his guide. They were the ones who let me be in this parliament. I would like to thank all the deputies, representative of our government. I'm grateful for your support, for your back. I assume this responsibility in conscience that the challenge will not be minor.
Let's take a very short break now, but remember you can now follow us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov appeared before journalists on Wednesday for a press conference in the context of his visit to Nicaragua. After leading at the Augusto C. Sandino International Airport in Managua, the Russian Foreign Minister met with Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega and Vice President Rocío Murillo. During his press conference, Lavrov thanked the authorities of the Central American country for the invitation and for the quality of the reception in Nicaragua. The top Russian diplomat noted that Moscow and Managua have a good basis for increasing their bilateral relations and bringing them to a qualitatively higher level. Lavrov reminded that the visit for a large Nicaraguan delegation to Russia, during which a large number of meetings were held, resulting in the signing of numerous agreements. Venezuelan Foreign Minister Ivan Gil welcomed his Bolivian counterpart Rogelio Maita in Caracas this Wednesday. The meeting is part of the third round of the bilateral joint commission, during which they are expected to sign 14 agreements concerning energy, trade, and social political issues. The drafting of those agreements took place over more than 50 bilateral work meetings. The Bolivian Foreign Minister also announced the arrival in Caracas on Thursday, April the 20th, of Bolivian President Luis Arce on an official visit. He will meet in Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, and they will both be present at the signing of those 14 bilateral agreements. The Venezuelan National Anti-Corruption Police's made new arrests and charges within the Operation Caiga Quien Caiga that the exercise is carried out against several high-ranking officials linked to criminal mafias operating within the state apparatus. According to the station LVTV, among the new things is Ismael Romer Serrano Flores, an official who has held various positions of the truth and high responsibility within different government institutions and state companies. Serrano was in charge of the executive vice presidency for the area of commerce and supplies of Petróleos de Venezuela, PDVSA, the office in charge of ensuring the correct distribution of gasoline and diesel oil in the country. He was also president of Empresa Divis-Caribe S.A., a subsidiary of the Venezuelan Oil Company, and General Secretary of the Executive Secretariat of Petrocaribe. To date, 80 people have been deprived of their liberty, as well as 20 arrest warrants to be executed, and a total of 172 raids within the Operation Caiga Quien Caiga, led by the President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro. The Mexican armed forces are being spied on, but not by the criminal groups, but by the Pentagon. This has been denounced by the President of Mexico. Our correspondent Daniel Rosas with the details.
President Andrés Manuel López Obrador affirmed that the United States spies on the Mexican armed forces.
And we are going to take care of the information of the Navy and the Defense Secretariat, because we are being spied on by the Pentagon.
The reactions were immediate.
There's a brave guy who came out and does tell the United States things they don't like to hear. He calls them out. He doesn't stay quiet. And as he says, we're no longer their backyard. Not anymore.
And as López Obrador said, we should not allow any kind of foreign intelligence work in our country, because that is what the Constitution establishes.
In his morning conference, López Obrador said that the government of the neighboring country also leaks information to the media. The investigation is ongoing, and so are the complaints through diplomatic channels.
We will resort to the right diplomatic ways to ask for this. We are going to do it today, to demand information, the details. The United States is obliged to share them with Mexico, or, and even if it doesn't, at least to point out that the information is not truthful.
And this is not the only bone of contention. It was also revealed that the U.S. agencies had infiltrated Mexican cartels in order to learn about their operations, something that Mexican authorities are investigating.
Daniel Rosas, TeleSUR, Ciudad de México.
As part of the 24th Yansin International Academic Conference in Moscow, representatives of the academic community of the BRIC countries held a session on the topic of antitrust regulations. Our TV BRICS reported that Solovayak has more details about this topic.
Representatives of the BRICS scientific community held a session at the 21st Yansin International Academic Conference in Moscow and discussed how to respond effectively to the current economic challenges. The meeting was dedicated to the topic of anti-monopoly regulation.
The world economy is going through a very difficult period. This is the time where the BRICS antitrust authority should consider what to do, how to change perhaps some approaches, how to start coordinating efforts better.
BRICS competition authorities are developing joint approaches to regulating the pharmaceutical, automotive, food, agriculture, and digital economies. These solutions are needed to ensure that socially important markets develop competitively.
The first report on digital markets in the BRICS countries has been produced. A second one is now being prepared. Some of the conclusions that were drawn in that report form the basis of the fifth antitrust package. That is, the amendments which are now being adopted in Russia, and they have already successfully passed the first readings in the State Duma, which aims for the proper regulation on digital markets.
The 5 countries have already achieved a lot of working together. The BRICS Bank, the Anti-Monopoly Committee, and the International Center for Competition Law and Policy have been established. But the most important thing is, say experts, the increase in commodity turnover between the states participants of the association.
I think that the main challenge of BRICS countries now is to make the association significant for the countries. And the main thing here is to strengthen trade cooperation between countries so that there are material benefits to being a member of BRICS.
Today, the possibility of joining BRICS is being considered by 16 countries. According to experts, such expansion will limit monopoly and create additional alternatives on the global market.
Telesur English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat. Dial 461 and join our Latin American alternative broadcast. One final short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. On Wednesday, Sudan military and its paramilitary rival H have announced that they will abide by a 24-hour ceasefire starting this evening after a previous attempt at a truce failed early. Similar pause Tuesday night fell apart almost immediately, and it was not clear if the new attempt will hold. In the north of the capital, Sudanese forces reportedly regained control of the Narob air base after a rival rapid response forces claimed control. According to the United Nations, at least 296 people have been killed since Saturday, but the toll is slightly higher since many bodies have been left in the streets untraceable because of the clashes. In this context, Kenya's President William Ruto expressed on Wednesday his deep concern over the situation in Sudan and stressed the importance of achieving peace in the region.
There is real danger that the escalation of hostilities in Sudan could implicate external, regional, and international actors and degenerate into a security and humanitarian crisis on a disastrous scale. It is time to silence the guns in our region and continent so that we can focus on the urgent work of enabling our people to pursue opportunities and actualize their aspirations in peace and tranquility. Time is of the essence.
In Chad, the defense minister stated on Wednesday that some 320 Sudanese soldiers who have fled to the fighting revenge in their country have been taken in. And he also reaffirmed that they have received civilians and that they will be guaranteeing conforms to keep them safe.
This influx of refugees, I want to tell you that I already have 320 soldiers who are already in our territory. They're military. No doubt they are civilians, so we are in the process of welcoming them and taking all the necessary measures to ensure that they are suitably accommodated.
The spokesman for the UN Secretary General Stephen Dujarric stated that the situation in Sudan is extremely dangerous for civilians and other members of the international community who are caught in the crossfire.
As you can well imagine, continued heavy fighting in Sudan is having a devastating consequences for Sudanese civilians, as well as our staff and other members of the international community who are caught in the crossfire. We reiterate to the parties to the conflict that they must respect international law. They are obliged to protect civilians and ensure the safety and security of all United Nations and associated personnel, as well as their premises, our assets, and trapped civilians must be able to receive assistance, access essential supplies, and evacuate to safer zones as needed.
The United Nations official also declared that Sudan's healthcare system is in a critical conditions.
Humanitarians must be able to safely carry out their work. Aid agencies must be able to safely move staff, replenish critical supplies. Meanwhile, we are worried that Sudan's healthcare system could completely collapse. Hospitals need additional staff, they need additional supplies, and they need additional blood supplies. The World Health Organization says that 16 hospitals across the country have been forced to shut down completely because of the violence and attacks on hospitals.
Libyans face a historic opportunity to overcome the crisis in which their country has been mired since 2011. The statement was made during a meeting of the Security Council by the UN envoy to Libya, the Senegalese Abdoulaye Batili. The UN official particularly welcomed the holding of several meetings in March and April in Tunis, Tripoli, Benghazi, and Saybaide. The army representatives from various regions of the country who committed to supporting the solution of the crisis. The country has been going through a major political crisis in 2011, rising that brought down Muammar Gaddafi.
Leaders and representatives of military units and security formation operating in western, eastern, and southern Libya committed to support all stages of elections, reject violence through Libya, take practical steps for the safe return of the internally displaced persons. The meeting between military unit and security formations from the east, west, and south represents undoubtedly a breakthrough. These meetings were of great symbolic value on the path to reconciliation and unifying the country. There has been a new dynamic in Libya. Intensive consultations have taken place amongst security actors. Institutional and political leaders have also taken action to move the political process forward.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also use us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. Telesur English, I'm from the South, I'm Ana Marrero, and thank you for watching.